I was like, oh, and this was in Claude Cowork, actually, is the one that told me that, we can use, what was the service? Netify, I
Yeah.
think.
Right.
And it created, and it's just a bookmark on my web browser. And all I have to be is on the properties page of SAM, open up that bookmark, and it pops up that list.
That's great.
And then all I do is select which property I'm going to work on, and it automatically creates that war room for that property for me. So I'm excited to test it out really a lot.
Very good. Susan, welcome.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Yes, you too.
Let's see here. Get a few things set up. Standard, classic. Just an FYI, Susan, I'm almost completed with the BombBomb integration. So I'm doing some testing now. I'm having a challenge uploading the video to BombBomb, but I'll get that this afternoon, and then I'll probably be pushing that later today or sometime tomorrow, hopefully. And then I've also got some code that I've written for bringing in those kids' names, and I'll probably be doing that later this afternoon because it will take a little bit of time to go through and create everything.
Okay. I have a question. So I brought over 3 of the letter templates. Am I able to, without a routine, am I able to print one of those letters to a client?
You are. I thought about that after our meeting, and I've got an addition from the contact record itself to be able to print the letter. Right now you have to go in and do the multi-select option, and it's kind of an extra step, and I will fix that so that
I was like, I didn't know how to get the contact information, their name and address and stuff in there.
Yes. I'll actually show off the letter piece today. I'll also show you where I'll be putting that extra menu choice so you can just do it from the contact record itself. So okay. It'll make it a lot easier. I should have done that in the first place, and I was thinking more batch and action type things, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Let me see. Office hours. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another office hours. I know we've got some exciting things to share, but before we actually get in there, I want to see if there's any questions. The one question that Susan just brought up is something that I actually did for her this week, and we're going to announce the feature, but also any feedback on it is welcome. Just because we have it in there doesn't mean that it can't be improved. So definitely give me your input on it while we're online if you want, or even after. So yeah. Let me go through here. First off, anybody have any particular questions that they want to know how to's? Be happy to answer any of the standard stuff.
Disconnect. The power was out here.
Victor,
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to. I've lost the meeting, but the one thing I was wondering on the seller net sheet, would it be possible to do a clone? So like when we do it for the listing and then we want to do it for the actual sales price, we could just clone the listing. Does that make sense?
I think it was Laura Lake had talked about week before last, about doing a listing, a kind of a listing template type thing and creating a copy of that. I've not done that yet. I was trying to figure out if there's a better way, but explain to me what you're.
Well, like go to the net sheet.
Okay, so if I go into a particular one here and go to a listing and
Estimated proceeds.
estimated proceeds, there we go.
So right there where it says listing price, I was wondering if we could have like a hamburger menu and have clone. So it would just copy that as a new one that we could just now put the sales price in.
Great idea. Clone on menu.
Because when you open up a new one, it resets all your.
It does reset all the stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could just add a onto this one, or actually put it on this main one and have a clone option that would allow us to do a additional one and then also be able to make changes to it. Absolutely.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
no problem. Great idea. Anything else?
I got a question, Mark. We picked up a 7 townhomes for lease. So I was, is it better to do one complex and have on the listing 7 transactions so I can put information, or how will you do? How will you handle that?
Great question. I've wondered that a couple different times as I've talked to another. I don't know if it was you or somebody else that I was talking to. The best way of doing it, if it's the same address, if everything is the same property details stuff, all that kind of stuff, I don't see why you couldn't just add additional listings and in the description here add like unit number 1, unit number 2, unit number 3 whenever you're giving it the name. And then each one of those, because each one of those could, based off of features or something, could be priced a little bit differently, even though it's the same address, same basic details. It could be relevant to have it the same, just a separate listing for it on the same property.
And when you get a contract or a listing, move it to a transaction and put the like the tenant's landlord information, tenant's information, right?
Right. And it would come from that one. So if I change the status on this from active to pending, it would take this listing information and create a transaction from it. If you have the syncing piece turned on that we were showing a couple weeks ago, it would create a separate one, in which case it would be linked to that particular listing. You might have other listings still active, but it would work specifically on that one listing that it came from because they are linked.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I don't think that would be a problem at all. I may actually spend a little time just to double check that, but I can't think of any reason why you couldn't do that.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Okay. We've got some cool stuff to show today. I get excited about all the things. Now, last week, for those that attended the go with your golden tickets and got in there, we had a lot of training. Cody, do you want to tell them what you've done and what you can make available to them if they weren't able to attend and they want to be able to see some of that stuff?
Yeah. So I am taking the training and I'm turning it into individual modules based on all of the different pieces of content. So that's going to slowly start getting trickled out. And what you guys will be able to do is basically, rather than having to sit through those large full recordings, you'll actually be able to look at the specific sections and go, okay, I want to focus on this, and then you can watch that, or you can kind of jump around as maybe you've already gone through your profile section. Well, you don't necessarily need to go watch that again, but you could skip through and maybe watch the routines building section and get a better understanding of how to build routines. So those modules are going to slowly start being rolled out, and you guys can gain access to that. I'll be sending out the emails. Some of you guys who attended already have the initial email as the modules are starting to get built out. But that's getting finished and coming on for you guys.
Very good. Very good. So we talked about a lot of things last week. Because of that particular event, there's been basically 2 weeks worth of updates that we've really not fully discussed, and I want to go through some of these. Do not hesitate to say, oh, Mark, what about this or what about that? Speak up as we're going through this, and if you like something, tell me about it. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? And then we'll go through that. I'm going to hit on a few things that are probably a little bit less important, but still for some people, knowing that it's there could be a differentiator. So in the setup area, whenever you go into setup and you go into your landing pages, if you're using landing pages for different things, great. I'm glad you are. If there's things that you are needing to learn about this, we did do a whole section of training on the landing page piece. One of the things that we've added that we did talk about 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, where in the landing pages you can now do what is called a listing intake or a transaction intake form. And the only thing, this is more for your internal purposes, where you can set up a, actually, let me go to the listing intake one here and go share and preview just so that you guys see what we're talking about. So for instance, you can set up a landing page, have your own logos and stuff like that on this. This is not something necessarily that you would share with customers, but it would give you the ability to do an intake from a website of a new listing or a transaction with just the fields that you care about. So what's the address of the property? Who's the seller 1? Who's the seller 2? Numbers of bedrooms, bathrooms, when was the roof installed? All these different things that are fields inside of SAM for the different property listing stuff. You can put in all the details. You can put in who are the different party members that are of my team, like who's the listing coordinator, who's the listing agent, or whatever. You can select those. If you're in a small team or something, you might be selecting the different party members. You can do that, fill those out. One piece that I didn't have whenever we talked about it was the ability to select particular party member types that have particular contacts in them. So like photographer, if whenever you're setting this up and maybe you use 2 or 3 different photographers, whenever this page comes up, you can now create a photography or any party member type and then pre-assign certain contacts that you might use within those as being the default choices. So maybe I use George Lucas as a photographer. Wouldn't that be great? Or Abraham Lincoln, which I don't think, I guess they did have photography back then, but I'm not sure black and white would be the greatest option. But you can choose the different photographer. If you choose that, then that name would be put in as that party member type. If another possibility is in the setup, you now have the ability to say, well, it's neither one of those. I need somebody else. I can go into other and then still be able to put in first name, last name, email, phone information, and it will either select or create a new party member for that. So some of these party member types that, I mean, even buyer seller type stuff you can put in there and it will do the same process. Hoping that makes sense. So how do you do that within the form itself? You can go in and we've got this party member type field, of which you can choose what is the label that I'm going to show, what's the party member drop down type, which is probably going to be the same as the label, but you can make it less technical or more readable by the person if you want, using the label itself, but which type is it actually assigned to. And then you can come in here and you can add your contacts from your contact list that you want to show as menu choices. And then you also can choose whether it's a drop down or if it's a radio button list. So maybe instead of having it as a drop down, you can choose the 3 options right from the list itself. So like right now, this is a drop down where it's got a little arrow and you pick it from a drop down. The other option being a radio list where it shows all the names. Let me just go ahead and save this and refresh. So now it shows all the names, not in a drop down, but I can just quickly select one of them however I want from the list. So you can do it either way. Just depends on how many is in that list. If you just got 2 or 3, it really doesn't matter. But if you got 10 people or something like that in that list, a drop down would be a better option for you. But the last item on that is whether or not you want to allow the other option. So if you want to force them to only pick from those choices that you've got, you can also adjust the placement of them, the order in which they're displayed, and whether or not you want that other. So, and whether or not that you want it to be a required field. Sometimes you just may not want to fill it out and make it optional. The whole point of this intake piece, whether for listing or for transactions, is creating something that you and your team can go to very quickly, a landing page. Again, this is not something that I would make available as public, but it would allow you then to add these property pieces and listing pieces. It will create the property record. If it's already in there, it tries to do a find. The challenge is if you don't type it in very close to the right name, it may not find it. It could create a second property if you've already listed it. So that becomes a challenge. I have thought about ways of letting you select them, but there's some technical issues that I'm having to work through on that. But this just gives you a quick way to fill out a form, get all your stuff in there. The advantage there is if any of these date fields get filled in, and if any of those have routines, it adds the property, it adds the listing, it adds the dates stuff all at once. All your routines kick off, and you're off to the races, and saving yourself a lot of time. And you're not having to go through each of the individual screens to do all your data entry. You can do it all from one screen with all the different things that you typically use on any particular listing or transaction. Any thoughts on that? Okay. A lot of muted people, so if you're talking, you need to unmute.
Is it possible to have like the templates there, or maybe we can share some of the templates?
Templates for this. I am making some templates so that you can just pick and choose from some. I don't have that available yet, but within this area here, this plus button is getting ready to have a drop down where you can add new or pick from a library, in which case the library will create it. I mean, technically already the AI can build it, but a lot of the fields and stuff that you may or may not want, you can just pick from a library. I'll be making several of these as library items so you guys can just pick and choose, and then once they're installed from the library, you'll be able to then manipulate them however you want from there. I think that's what you're asking for. Awesome. The other thing that we did recently, if you guys are using the Gemini integration, you will see several places inside SAM where we've got the AI generation button whenever you're dealing with images on anything. A lot of places where we're using the Gemini to create the images. So that Gemini integration is becoming extremely powerful in a lot of different places. So definitely look into using that. Okay, we did go over a lot of examples for chat inside of the SAM chat piece, chat with SAM. You can do all kinds of stuff in here now. There are two modes. If you do not currently have the Gemini integration enabled, you will immediately come into guide mode. And guide mode basically gives you information. You're actually using our Gemini connectivity to know how to do things with inside of SAM. So you can ask how-to questions that SAM knows about itself, and it will give you step-by-step instructions that you want to do. You also have the ability to use voice conversation mode. So you can go into voice mode, and as you're talking, it will record what's in here. As soon as there's a long enough break, then it will submit that message, and then SAM creates the content, and then it will play it back audio. It sounds like a machine talking kind of. I'm hoping that we can make it cost effective enough to actually use 11 Labs to do that for you guys. But it does work extremely well whenever you're just talking to SAM. SAM can actually respond to you in conversation mode, in which case step-by-steps and stuff like that can talk you through things. It is movable, the screen's movable, so if it gives you step-by-step instructions like, how do I add a contact, it will go through and do the stuff, but as it's generating the content, it shows you here, you can actually go through and do the steps with it staying on top of the screen and being able to follow through the list, and you can just kind of move things around to get where you want. It is sizable, so you can enlarge or shrink or whatever as you want, and then it keeps it at that size. So definitely use that if you need to know how to do things. Pretty much every feature that we add, we're adding the step-by-steps and stuff like that in there because it knows about itself. I just say, hey, make sure you add the steps to this, and then it adds it to the library. So crazy, crazy stuff that we're capable of doing now within the system. So that is available. Actually, I didn't complete my statement there. If you are using the integration within SAM and Gemini, you can also use Gemini's knowledge base piece that integrates with the data itself and is siloed with your content inside of your Gemini, that allows you to communicate about information. So if I wanted to say, what is William Taft's phone number? What it can do is outside of guide mode, if you have the information, it will go through and look at the data and bring back the information. It brings in a link to it so you can click on the contact itself, do things within that contact, add a note, set an appointment, do all kinds of different stuff. So set up an appointment for Sunday at 3 p.m. for a listing appointment. I should have said with him. It may not actually do that, but you can do all the stuff. Okay, so right there I could say that should be for, or excuse me, that appointment should be for William Taft and his wife. Let's see what happens. Oh. So using that, okay, so it's added. Oh, that's not good. Abraham Lincoln, and that appointment should be William Taft and his wife. Okay, so it's not perfect. I need to see why that didn't work. So right here, you can do a listen and stuff. And I thought I also had the thumbs up, thumbs down on this. Let me do one thing here real quick. I'm going to add this. It didn't keep the context of the person up here for some reason. I'll double check that. Let's just no, those are the wrong contacts. Add William Taft and his wife. Let's see if this corrects it or not. Okay, well, AI is not perfect. Case in point, always double check. I'll look into that though. But as we build more, as we do more, we can certainly do more. You could say, what are my active listings? No, that's not the case. Give me a list of active listings. Of course, I may not have any active listings anymore. No active listings worth. Okay. What homes do I have listed at 700K plus? There we go. So there are 6. Actually, it does say active. So another wrong one. Shows you the list, all the different people. Let's say, give me details. Memory lane, blah, blah, blah. Show me the photos. So lots of capabilities there. Clicking on those, you can upload photos, you can do all kinds of stuff. But Sam is becoming more and more self-aware, data aware, and using Gemini, you can do a lot of really cool stuff to do that integration. Any thoughts or questions there? Yes.
Susan was curious, using SamChat versus going into the calendar and entering it. I know the example was a little bit of a flub, but
yeah, definitely just going into the calendar, maybe as quick or quicker. So, finding the day, doing what you need to do right here is just as viable. Absolutely.
I think some of it comes down to the use case. This is you have to crawl and fumble a lot before you can run. The ultimate goal being you're in your car, you're on your way to a showing, and you're able to just have a full conversation with Sam, with your business data. You know, you're getting insights about who you're going to see, what, you know, the property looks like. So you have some stuff ready. That's like the fully formed, you know, maybe in regard to the calendar piece, you're talking about what other appointments you have or what appointments you need to add. So that's kind of where we would like it to go. And, you know, like I said, maybe a flubbed example, but that.
Yeah, as it becomes smarter and smarter, I mean, there are things it's still getting trained and stuff, but also Sam Chat is a kind of a sister connection to SMS. So within Twilio, we now have an option in here for AI automation, and you can turn on who you want to allow access to your data through your Twilio number as being communication with your data. So in this case, I've got my cell phone number in here, and a lot of people know it's okay if somebody has this. This number, whenever I use it within my Twilio account, and I send to one of my phone numbers that's in there for Twilio, it knows it's me. It knows that it's from this address, this phone number. And as I'm communicating, I'm doing the exact same things to, you know, ask it questions, give me photos, stuff like that. And this is SMS or MMS technically now. So I'm able to communicate with Sam through SMS chat messages. So whether I'm doing it within Sam Chat on the screen, or if I'm doing it here, and I could even be talking, you know, using that number and just communicating. Maybe I'm driving down the road and say, hey, add an appointment to my Friday at 4:00 for Abraham Lincoln. You know, at that point, then it will go through and it'll add that information. And I'm not in front of my computer. It lets me do it that way. Technology is still catching up, but it's getting very close. Hopefully that makes sense.
Last week when we were in the class, can you search by tags?
I am adding tags as well on there. I did not add the tag piece. When the question becomes is how many tags do you want to show? So you might say, show me everybody on my newsletter list, or pull up a list of people on my newsletter list. If I pull that up, that's going to use a lot of your Twilio connections, and I don't want to mess you up necessarily. It could also, you know, load up your screen on Sam Chat. We want to do that a little bit smarter and say, well, break it up by lists, or hey, you've got, you know, 150 people on this list. Is there something you want to do with this list? And then go through and say, yeah, send an email to that list or do something with that list. And I need to work on making it smart enough that it knows how to handle large lists of data, because everything that it's doing right now is bringing it's trying to bring larger lists down to one person so that I can do something with it. I need to add a note. I need to add a phone number. I need to set an appointment, that type of stuff with an individual item. What you're introducing as a thought is, okay, I want to do things with lots of people. Well, that gets a little scary whenever you're letting AI control that. So we need to put up guardrails to make sure that you don't blast everybody telling them to, you know, go suck an egg or something. You know, you don't want to send something bad. So we want to make sure the guardrails are in there that prevent large scale chaos. Hope that makes sense. But if you've got a certain use case, Jose, definitely bring that up and send me some email examples of what you want to do, and let's think about and talk through that, because I think there are some extremely valuable possibilities of what we need to do or could do. We just want to make sure there's guardrails there to prevent bad things from happening. All right. Some additional things that we've added recently within the routines area. Many of you have activities that may happen on the same day, where you go through and you want to do something like this one right here on the day of the listing for the listing date. There's certain things that I'm doing on listing day, on listing day, on listing day. Each one of them are set for the same day, but they're separate actions. One thing we did not have set up in the system is to allow you to order them accordingly. So we've got a new button on the routine area here where you can click on the routine order. It will change the screen a little bit so that then you can say, well, I want this to be number 1, number 2, number 3, or whatever. So you can place them in the order that you want them. Whenever you then save that, it then assigns the order, and then they will show up on your calendar in that order. They'll be showing up in your task list in that order, so that if they fall on the same day for that particular listing or whatever, they're done in the order that you want them done, even though they're on the same day. Hope that makes sense. That was available in other products, but we just didn't have the capability of setting that order within the editor. Technically we could have put a drop down or something like here on order number 1, 2, or 3, but then you get into a case of well, now I got 3 2s, whatever, and it doesn't do it. By using the order, it actually changes all of them that are on that same day. It updates all their orders at once for you, so it makes it a lot simpler whenever you click on save there. Okay, so one of our newer users, Ron and Sue, Susan Picard, they came up and said, Mark, we love the ability to send emails. We love the ability to send SMS, but we don't do that. We do the old school way. And God bless you, because that we like that as well. But we didn't really have a good way of doing that. So one of the things that we've implemented is within the system, any of the templates that you create. So if I go into my templates now, just as a for instance, and I look at a given template, let me go to something that I've not here, a thank you letter. In this case, we now have, whenever you go into your templates, we did just have email and SMS. We now have a new area here for letter. So you can do a full-blown letter. You can do all the highlights and stuff. We do have some additional fonts and stuff that's available, because within letters, you can use the fonts that are in your system to be able to do the things that you want to do. You can change those. So a lot of capabilities for setting up separate letters. The advantage here is in your routines, doing mass mailings and stuff like that. You can now choose a different format from an email. So, it might be a little shorter. It could have links, stuff like that on an email that you may not want to actually put into a letter. You want to do it a little bit different and set it up for a letter style. Down at the bottom, you have the ability to set up the letter settings. So you can choose and a piece that I've not turned on yet, but how many stamps would this particular letter be? Typically 1, but if it's several pages, it's thicker, maybe it needs additional stamps. It will then let you know how many stamps whenever you're printing a bunch of stuff, if you're not using bulk rate postal stuff, but it also gives you the ability to set up your margins. So whenever it's printed, first page, maybe you're leaving room for a header or something, and following pages, you're doing different margins, or you can keep them the same, however you want to do that. But it gives you the ability to set up some defaults for how this is laid out, how you do stuff. All the merge fields and all that kind of stuff are the same. You've got the same content available, but it definitely gives you the ability to set those up. Now, how does this work? So once you've got this set up, you can go into your routines, and let's say new lead. I'm just going to grab this one because I was using this as a sample here. You can go into your actions. Inside of your action, just like we were able to click on the types, we had email and SMS. We now have preferred and letter. If there's something that you want to send as a letter versus an email, you can now choose letter as being an option. You pick the same message template. You can choose it so that instead of choosing how you want to send it, if you want to go their preferred way, you can choose the preferred option and make that available. Now, whenever it sends it, whenever it needs to print this, because of the printers being on your machine, it's not like an email that you can just send and the automation kicks in. We now have a new icon here, and let me expand it off here, which is called print queue. The printer queue area, very similar to your outbox as far as the layout. What are things that are past due? What are things I need to do today? What are things that I've done in the past? As you do them, as you print them, they will show up. They'll show up as a kind of a template looking type thing. Who are they supposed to go to or whatever? But here's the thing. Actually, let me show you the kind of the full-blown example. Let's go to our contacts area. And let's go, we're going to select a few different people. Maybe we're pulling up our birthday list and we're pulling up a happy birthday letter of some sort that we want to send out to people. I could then come over here and process, hit the little hamburger menu, process the selected. We now have an option in here called print mass letters, in which case it's going to say, okay, which letter do you want to choose from? Let's say the thank you letter, for lack of a better one. When do I want to send this? I can send it now. I can pick another day if I want. Maybe I want to do it later this afternoon, say at 4:00 p.m. It will then go through, select that template, start going through the merging process, and then it throws everything into that print queue. So now, today, I've got 4 things that I need to print. If I look up here, it says that there are 4 things that need to be done. I can go in there and just click this button. It will say, okay, we need to generate and print them. So go ahead and generate and print them. It goes through the merging process. It merges each of the persons, their content, the letter. It creates a PDF file for each one of them and assigns those letters to the individual contact record. And then at the same time, it will download all the letters and put them into one print process. So you don't have to print them one at a time. You just do the entire group. Maybe there's 100 people. You don't want to have to go through them one at a time and print 100. It bulks them all into one print group. You choose the printer that you want to send it to, you hit print, and then everything gets printed the way you want. Once that's done, you can then say, yeah, mark them as printed, and then it throws them down into the bottom area. What you can do is say, well, I also want to print the envelopes for these. So you can come over here, choose the little select piece, and maybe for today, I can select all of the items. Maybe I want to print labels. There's a label option up here, so it'll print labels for all of them. Maybe I want to print envelopes. We now have a new envelope printer option, so I can go into my envelopes. I can lay out my envelopes, so I can do different types of layouts, different sizes of layouts. I can see what they might look like, do different things. I can add other blocks of information and being able to put images or extra text or whatever I want to on the layouts themselves. Once I've got them set up the way I want, then I can click on print. It will take the selected people's names, do the merging, and create the envelopes for each one of those, and then go into a preview screen. So now I've got all my envelopes for each of the different people, and we're good to go. I could do the same thing with labels. So now you've got a full old school type of mechanism for sending letters and individual envelopes as you want. What I did not do, but will be on there on this next update, is inside the contact record. Right now, you have to go in there and select them individually if you want to send a letter or something. What will happen is in this upper corner up here, there will be a print letter option under the print contact. The print contact basically takes the contact record and lets you print kind of a contact detail screen, where the print letter will take the content and let you choose a letter to actually send. It will then put it into the print queue. So, Susan, I hope that answers that question for you. Any thoughts on that? I know I hit you with a lot there.
This is very nice, Mark. This is working the old-fashioned way with today's technology.
Yeah. You know, the thing is we get bombarded with so many text messages and emails that sometimes we put up a screen as just like, I don't want to see this, I don't want to look. But the old school send it through the mail makes sense for a lot of people, because we don't get as many things by mail anymore. So, you know, people tend to open them more likely. So you can certainly do that. One of the things that Susan was bringing up was like, well, you know, sometimes I want to print my birthday list, and I want to do a different type of envelope for my birthday list. So you can set up different types of envelopes and stuff, so that even different sizes or whatever, and then it print it up and, you know, do whatever. So you can create something like this with a different size envelope, more personal, or a card size or whatever, and build out a custom envelope just for your birthday process. And, you know, those will get seen better than just another email that I get with content. So
Thanks, Mark. Now I got to update my routine again.
sorry, guys. You know,
I have a routine where there's letters going out every 21 days for 2 years.
nice. Well, you know, at least this gives you that capability to do the old school method. And y'all can give thanks to Ron and Sue for those for that nudge. So all right.
It's going to help me out because we're about to send out our mail outs, and I got my new business cards.
Nice. Oh man, you look sharp.
This is the SAM QR code.
Nice.
On the back with all my information, and we're ready to send it out. So, I love it.
Looking sharp there, Jose. Glad you're using that. Okay. Something that many of you have asked for, and it is now available. Hopefully this will help you guys. In the past, whenever you go into your properties area every property in your list is potentially a listing or a transaction. And in the past, whenever you were to go in here, you would go in, say, memory lane. I could then go in and see each of my listings. If I have one listing, great. If I have multiple listings over time, I've sold this house or helped a buyer or seller with this house multiple times, it could be listed as many times as need be to do the thing. The problem is you don't always know what listings and transactions you have for any particular address. Well, now you guys have this live. If you go, this little icon in the upper left corner is the little house. You can now change it. You can click on this and go to listing. So now I can say, well, show me all my listings, in which case it will show all the listings. Doing this, the filters change, are set for this list of items. So the drop-down filters for listings is different than your drop-down listings for properties. So you can set up, hey, just show me my actives or just show me my, whatever, all that kind of stuff. You can have a different layout, a different default layout for your listings. So now I can switch between any of my different either listing, transaction, or whatever, and see them. If they have multiple transactions, where like this one here has been done multiple times at different prices, different times, you will be able to see them and be able to go to them based off of whichever one you click. So some of these fields are actually property fields. Some of these are listing and transaction fields. You can adjust the layouts on these, choose what fields that you want for this particular section that you're in. So now you can go in and do the different stuff that you want. The advantage here also is you can set up different filters based off of whatever it is. So here's my not closed yet. So my pending, my contingent, whatever they are. So it brings my list down and I can see what's actually active as a full list. And yeah, you can still do that through your pipeline. You can still go to your pipeline and see your pipeline of records and stuff, either by properties or listings or whatever, by categories or statuses or whatever. But if you just want to list, you can do this. The other thing that you can do, which could be beneficial to a lot of you, is if you've brought over information from other systems, maybe you want to go in there and say, well, just show me. Actually, I'm going to go over here to this one. This is something that I did. I created a closed/archived status, meaning they did close, but I don't want to see them all the time, so I'm going to archive them. I wanted to keep my closed item, my closed status, knowing that I did close them, but I closed and archived. So what you could do is come in here and say, well, I want to filter this and show me just my closed records. So here's all my closed records. Now, because they're closed, maybe at the end of the year or the beginning of next year, I don't want to see these in my list anymore by default as part of my active close this year type of listings. I could come in here, select them all. I could go into the update transactions, and I could go and say, change all of these to closed and archived. And then it will go through and update each of the marked records for this transaction from closed to closed and archived. And now, because I was filtering just by closed, I no longer have just closed. They're all closed and archived. So I can come back in here. I could say, just show me my closed and archived. And boom, there they are. So I can now do things with my transactions, my listings, and projects, if you have projects, to be able to do other things. The use case on this was for status. If there are other fields that you think would be beneficial to have on there, I want your feedback. I don't have just a whole lot of fields on the update list, what this does do is on the updates, you can add tags, you can remove tags, you can add certain date fields and date values, and you can do status. If there's other fields that you think would be beneficial to update in mass, let me know. I really want to know that and add those items to you. Just, it made sense for status. I just don't know about other ones that might make sense. What
Mark,
do y'all
I have a
think?
question.
Uh-huh.
So if you want to go back and look at your closings by year, do you have to create a tag to do that, or is there a different way to do it?
So no, what you could do is on your layout columns here, you could configure your layout and choose by closing date. Closing date. So I can include the closing date on this.
Okay.
And then I could sort by closing date. I could filter by closing date. Oh, that's not good. Why didn't it do that one? I'll check that out. That doesn't make sense why that wouldn't matter. Let me just for grins to see if that is a an issue because it's the last record or not. Let's see, selected to the top. Sales price, close date. Filter. Okay, that's interesting. Something is, oh, I've got, I don't know. I'll figure that out and make sure that's available. But you could go in there and select by year or whatever based off of a filter. I could go ahead. No, actually, here's what I can do. Duh. In your edit filters, you could say closings this year or whatever. I can go to my transactions and say where the closing date. Okay, I need a between in here. Between a certain start and end
That would be
date.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll make that available. You guys come up with some great questions.
Can you sort by tags?
You can do tags as well. So I could go in there and say, give me all my 2025.
Yeah, I usually put close by 2025, 2024, and then just add a list.
Yeah. So I mean, at that point, you do 2025 and save that and show, and then it should give me everything. It's 2025. That's tagged 2025. In which case, there's only one that I've got in here for that. That I've also got for closed, I guess. So that now it's showing the item, it's showing the date on there. Something about it being too long or something, I think is causing that. So I'll figure that one out for you guys, because it is now allowing me to filter. I think there might have been too many choices in there. Anyway, so now you've got this ability to switch between the different options. If you do have projects, if any of you guys have the projects piece where you're doing rehab and building project items, same type of piece that's available for that as well. But each one of these filters, each one of the layouts, whenever you're in that particular section, is pertinent to that section. So you won't get if you save something, you won't get that saved item if you're in a different section. So hopefully that will help. Any thoughts on that one? All right. Something that, and we're really close here to being done. Inside templates. The other thing that I did do inside templates, let me just grab one of these. Let me edit one of these templates. In the past, whenever you went to add an image, there's a little image icon here. It would give you two options. You can select an image to upload, or you can select a URL. Now you have the ability to say, I want to do multiple different things. Maybe I want to go in here and upload an image, which I can go through, select a file and upload it. Maybe I want to use a URL. Maybe I want to use one of my newsletter images that whenever I created my newsletter, I want to create some kind of link to my newsletter or something that is pertinent to it. You can choose from images that are stored in your account, so you can pick and choose different icons or images that came from those newsletter pieces. You can pick and choose those. You can insert a URL that goes with those and then just insert them. You then have the ability to resize them and do whatever you want. So that is there. We also have, for those people that want to include property photos, you can go into property photos. You can choose an address. It'll show you the different property photos. You can choose multiples of them, how many columns you want to show. Maybe I want to do 3 columns and insert those. So now you can insert the things along with their descriptions that you want. You can do them individual, one at a time or whatever. So that's available. You also have the Pixabay. So if you guys want to include Pixabay, if you've got the integration for Pixabay, you can use AI generated. This again uses Gemini. You want to include some kind of happy birthday message that's, include your photo or whatever. The thing about this one is you can include a reference image. So you can add an image of yourself and say, put me in a top hat and tails with a happy birthday sign, whatever. And it will create that image for you, and then you can insert it. So do some crazy stuff with that. And if you have dub, whenever you go into dub, you can now choose a dub video to insert inside the template and have it available from this integration. You can still use the dub add-on extension to do the same thing. There's really not that much difference other than it's actually built in to here. We do go out, we hit the dub piece. You can select it, and it will do the connections and do all the pieces that are needed to make that available for you. That's taken a long time. Hopefully that's not broken. That's crazy. There we go. Insert. There we go. So there's dubs in there. Later tonight, I didn't get to finish it. Later tonight, if you guys do use BombBomb, we now have BombBomb capabilities to do that. So you can go in and you'll be able to use the insert the BombBomb video to do the same thing. So you've got a lot more image capabilities to include in your emails going out and making sure that those are available. So hopefully that will help you guys.
Mark,
Yes.
On the newsletters, you add a tab where you can put the property description, like a little block. Is it possible to add it here too?
Add a what?
Add the little block for the property address and everything on the template on the newsletter. Okay.
Template and newsletter builder on the photo.
No, the photo, the property. You say that you can put on the property information.
Oh yeah. So you can on any element here, you can go into the HTML, and if it is a but it would require you to say that I need a property address.
Exactly.
Okay. I see what you're doing there. What I probably need to do is have, like, for photos, whenever you're adding photos, I do have a No. I have listing photos, recent listings piece here. For this, what I need to probably do is allow you to pick, do something similar to this with listing data, so you can pick which listing that you want.
Yeah.
Okay. I can make that available.
Perfect.
If you're doing it as a list, like if it's going, a newsletter isn't necessarily it, but if you're going to be printing something that really is listing, like a listing presentation or something like that, if your newsletter type is listing, then whenever you're doing stuff within the articles and you're editing stuff, the merge fields will be property and listing information. So I can include the property address as a merge field. So whenever it goes and prints, it will be done that way. But that doesn't do us any good if we're sending it to people and I don't know which listing. So I need to have probably an option for you to pick which listing, like a dedicated listing assignment item, and then any of the items that are listing related can use that selected listing element and then pass that as a merge field even. So I like the idea there. It's not something that I did, but great idea. I'll work towards that. Guys, it is 6 minutes after. Sorry. We covered a lot of stuff. 2 weeks worth of changes makes a huge time difference here. There's still more items that I didn't cover. One of the things that I didn't really cover was on signatures. We have done some changes to the signatures. One thing that you may have, actually, let me just see if I've got, I'm not sure that no, I don't. If you've taken your signature and you've pasted it into here from, say, Google or Outlook or something like that, and it's got images, there are times when those images will not show up properly whenever they're sent. We now have some built-in features that if it detects that, it will ask, whenever you go to save it, it will ask you, do you want to save these images locally? And it will try to replace them for you automatically. If not, we've got some tools where you can do some image replacement features. I'll do that next time and show how that's done, because that can be important to some of you guys if you're using images that maybe you copy pasted from something and you want to include those. If they're not stored in SAM as a publicly accessible file, if you've included them as part of some other system or whatever, if that system goes away, those images go away. So having them inside SAM could be critical for you, all your signature images and stuff like that. So we've made some additional stuff there. Print queue we talked about, batch printing, templates, routine letters. We hit a lot of everything. If there's any particular questions you guys have, send us emails. Cody, did you have anything left?
I don't think so. You guys should all have a access point for that training hub. You guys inboxes. Hopefully it's a good one for you. Like I said, you can go through each of those modules and find the ones that work best for you.
One last quick thing. If you guys have any problems with it, send an email to let me know. But in the icon in the upper right corner, we still have our support ticket element, but it's been improved. So if you need to, it's after hours and you want to do some stuff, send it to us. We can look at it, next morning. This has been improved so that you can see things. But whenever you create a ticket now and you put in information, Sam will try to answer the question for you. So it's worth checking to see the AI response. Not that it's going to necessarily fix your problem. If it's an actual problem, it's something I'll probably have to do for you. But if it's how-to questions or whatever, Sam Chat should be able to help you, or within the ticket system, there's now some AI items that are built in that will respond with information as well.
Mark,
So,
do you mind show how to add images one more time?
yeah. So inside of either your template editor or, and I'll do the exact same thing inside of a contact record. It really doesn't matter where you do it because it's the same editor. But let's just say I go in and maybe I'm going to do a new email or whatever. There's this picture frame icon. It's got some little mountain type things. You put your cursor wherever you want it to go. You click on the little icon there and then choose the type of image that you want. Let's say generate an image and create a reference image and say house. I'm just going to grab a house. And then let's take this and say, make this a purple sign and generate. Once it does its generation, makes it whatever you want it to do, and then you click on the insert and it'll insert it wherever the location is. How's that? Did that answer it? Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Continue
Mark,
to
that image is saved into Sam. Ron was asking.
Yes, it's it actually saves it into the system. So the next time I go in and choose it, technically, I believe it goes into the newsletter images so that it's available for a newsletter or whatever. So I think it actually puts it into that section. Let's see if I can get this sped up. I'm not sure why it's taking so long. Oh, there it is. Right there. Yep. Any other?
We can stay all day here.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. Guys, I love you guys. I really do. And
Thank you, Mark.
I appreciate your input on everything. You know, this product is being formed, you know, with you guys in mind, and what I've gathered over the last 36 years of helping agents like you. So if not that I can remember everything or do, you know everything, that the input that you guys give us is invaluable. And I try as the engineer of this to make it useful for you to do whatever you want to with it. I've used this example before. I'm an only child. When growing up, I had to entertain myself with creativity and stuff like that. And Legos was my game of choice. I'd go in there and build something. And it's about having the parts and pieces and building whatever you want to build from that, using your creativity. I'm giving you the Lego pieces. I'm giving you the ability to make things and putting them together. I will help you make those, you know, and creating them however you want, putting them together. But the tools that you need to do your business is here. And how you use them is up to you. Do you need everything? Will you learn everything? Absolutely not. But the tools that you do want, that you do need, I want to make sure that they're available. So hope that helps. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week. If there's anything that we can do for you, certainly reach out. We're here to help you. Email mark@workflowsecrets.info, and have a great day.
Thank
See
you.
you guys.
Bye, everyone.